Another important tool that you can use when you're working with the SketchUp is what it called scale. There are multiple reasons that you want to scale the object. A scale is basically getting an object, its geometry, and you give them like a ratio of that, and it's going to make it larger or smaller depending on the ratio that you put in the scale. One reason could be that you forgot, for example, about the right size that you're supposed to put in for a specific geometry. Sometimes you use the scale in order to, for example, make like a surface or like a wall system or roof system a little bit smaller than it is, or like maybe sometimes you're trying to adjust some of the detail of your geometry. So let's start with the basic. I'm going to go here and create a small box. I'm going to use a rectangle tool, and I'm going to create a box. Type in 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, comma 1 foot, and then I'm going to use a push and pull tool by pressing P, or just going over here and then click on that, and then I'm going to give the 1 foot for that one as well. So now I create this box. So I'm going to press a space. I'm going to select the whole box. So multiple way of selection. One of them was that triple click, and it's going to select the whole thing. So if you let's say, for example, that I forgot about the basis of my design, and this part is supposed to be 1.5 foot instead of only 1 feet. So in order to scale things down, what I have to do is that I'm going to go over here using the scale, and then right after that you see that it's just kind of like a sets of grips that show up here in my around my object that I choose. So whenever I want to use, like for example, the uniformly, I can go any corner of this object, and you can see that right after that it says the uniform scale. So I'm going to go, for example, let's say I'm going to use that corner, and click and release, and now you see that I can just scale things up or down. And as you move up, you see that it's kind of snapped to the right, some of the right is scale. So now it's snapped to 2. If I go a little bit down, it's going to snap to 1.5. So if I want to scale it, I can just click on the 1.5, or I can just type 1.5. Either way, going to work. So now I uniformly basically scale this up. And I realize that, let's say, this side is supposed to be like a, this side has to be, instead of 1.5, it has to go a little bit larger. And I can click on this corner, and now you can see that this only scale the object on one direction. So I can scale this up like 1.5 more on this direction, and if I want to do the same thing on this direction, I can do the same thing on this direction, 1.5 on this direction, and I can do the same thing on this one as well. So you can see multiple way of scaling things. If I can use, like for example, this corner, that's gonna scale things up into 2 sides. So it's really depending on how you can use the scale. So that's one way of scale. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to delete this object here. So I'm going to triple click and then press delete. And I'm going to go over here. Now on this side, what I want to do is that I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So basically what's going to happen is that this roof, instead of being flat, is going to be sloped down. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to double click here. I'm going to select this face with all the edges, and then I'm going to go over here and use the scale. Now the same grip show itself, and it's kind of bound to the boundary of the object that I have. And now I can do, like for example, let's say I'm going to use this one as my scale. And as you can see, as I move this down, the whole object, the whole geometry getting down. So if I hold the scroll bar, I can still, within the comments, I can see it from different angle. So you see that I can just hold and then orbit the geometry, so I can see where I'm heading at. And I'm gonna, say for example, scale it this way. You can do the same thing. Let's say for example, this side, I'm gonna press a space and double click on this, and this side hold shift. So I did this one and then hold shift and this one. So select the whole side here, and then do the scale on this side as well. So I'm going to go select scale. This time I'm going to scale this this direction. So you can see that I kind of bring this all the way down to this side. So that's another way of doing it. I can still go move this a little bit back and forth. So this way I can just play with this geometry and create a complex geometry, as you can see, a very complex geometry only by using the scale bar. And it can be, I can use this in many different places in my design.